What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Terry, and before we start this video off, I want you all to check out this book, Welcome to Brick City by Ernest R. Shepard. Really good read. Talks about his life in Brick City, growing up in the projects in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way until now. All the way until now. So, not only will you get not only will you get the aspect on how he lived, not only will you get an aspect on how he lived in Brick City in the projects, but you will get the aspect on how he lived and how he changed his life for the better, right? Our past doesn't refine us, right? Our past actually shapes us into who we are, as long as we can learn from the past. And this book is all about learning from the past and elevating yourself into a better future. Mistakes are nothing but learning lessons. So I want you all to check out Welcome to Brick City by Ernest R. Shepard. Really good read. Tap in. Alright, in this video, we're going to talk about adapting, right? It's all about adapting. So nowadays, it's either adapt or fail, right? If you're not constantly adapting, then what are you doing? You're not in a growth mindset, but instead you're stagnant, right? And in today's society, that seems to be okay now. People are comfortable being stagnant, right? So in this video, I'm going to express, and I will show and demonstrate you different techniques on how to adapt and essentially how to get out of that comfort zone and not to remain stagnant all the time. My first tip I will give you is how to get unstuck. And you're probably looking at me like, Jackie, okay, how do I get unstuck, right? I've been in the same spot for years. How do I get unstuck? Tell me this magical answer, right? Well, I'm going to tell you this magical answer, right? To get unstuck, you want to get information, right? You want to get the right information. Information. That's it. That's it. If you want to get unstuck from your position, get the right information. Expose yourself to information, right? That's it. Expose yourself to information that's going to coincide with your core values. So we live in a world right now where we're constantly distracted. So everything is grabbing our attention. It's like a fight, right? It's like a psychological fight. The TV is fighting for your attention. Your friends are fighting for attention. Everybody is fighting for your attention. But you know who's not fighting for your attention? You. Because you're constantly distracted. Right? By things that don't value your purpose. So when you're distracted by things and illusions, I have to call it illusions because this is all psychological illusions that we are in right now. If you are distracted by things that don't value your purpose, you actually lose your purpose and you get lost in the matrix. The matrix is a womb. That's what it means. The matrix is a womb, right? So you go into the dark when you enter the matrix. So when I say you get lost in the matrix, you actually get lost in the dark, right? So if you want to become a solution-based problem solver rather than a person complaining about problems all the time, you want to be a solution-based problem solver. You want to be a strategist. Look up the right information for you. Go to the library. Look at mentors on YouTube, right? Digital mentors. They don't even have to be physical mentors anymore. You can look at digital mentors. Look up somebody you admire. And then take their framework. Take their business model, right? Take it. Take their business model. Take it. Right? Use it to your advantage and then create your own system from it. Right? When you take something, you take small increments and you apply it to yourself, right? And you create your own business model from that framework that the mentor has presented to you. There's information all over. Information is limitless, right? We're in a constant form of limitless information. So we talk about knowledge, right? So we talk about information and knowledge to get you unstuck, right? But you have to get the right type of knowledge. So go to your community, right? There's Facebook, right? There's Instagram, but we use it all for the wrong reasons. We use it to gossip and express our feelings. But how about we use Facebook to collab, right? Because if we can look at collaborating more, right? If we can look at collaborating more rather than look at people as competition and comparison. Because I'm going to tell you one thing right now, comparison is the thief of joy. Once you start comparing yourself to somebody else, you lose yourself in that comparison. You lose your own self-value and your self-worth. So the only real person you have to compare yourself is to you. You are your own comparison. You are your own value, right? You're in competition with yourself, not anybody else, right? Stop comparing because you're losing your joy. You're losing your ambition. You're never going to be satisfied if you keep comparing yourself to people because nothing you ever do is going to be good enough, right? It's not. So let's rewire our brain structure and not compare, right? Comparison is a thief of joy. You're only robbing yourself if you compare. Here's a better idea for you. Instead of comparing and looking at everybody as competition, right? Because America has taught us to be in a scarcity mindset where everything is individualized. It's me, 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 me. There's not enough for anybody. But in reality, God made an abundance for everybody. Everybody can eat, right? So, with that being said, instead of we don't look at people as competitors, right? But we look at our so-called competition, right? Because if you're competing with somebody, right, you're looking at them as competition, right? So that's all you're looking. You're not even looking at the artwork that they produce, right? You're just looking at them as competition. And when you do that, your mind is diluted. So instead of looking at people as competition, how about we look at them as education? How about that? We look at people as education and we learn from them. We learn how they do things. We learn how they implement their systems. And how about this? How about we collab with them, right? So the more collaborations we can make, right, we learn from each other. Because everybody has different styles. So when you break free of the scarcity mindset, you learn how to adapt and collaborate. And once you collaborate, don't you know you gain a bigger target audience from fan bases just by collaborating with other different brands, right? Now, even in this video, right, I'm wearing two different brands. One from my boy Ernest Shepard, which I just showed you in the beginning of the video promoting this book, and then from my boy Robert Snuggs, right? You know, a legend in the game. You know, I'm rocking this t-shirt, man. Get you a truth t-shirt. You know, tap in, right? So this is all collaboration, right? The more you can collaborate, right, and promote other people. Don't promote it. Self-promotion is okay, but don't overindulge in it, right? Your main purpose is to add value to the next person. And when you add value to the next person, that's when you add value to yourself, right? So if I could do a job for the next person, and we have to get to the fact that we have to step out this form of individuality, like I said at the beginning, because when we're individualized, that's all we care about is us and the things that we got going on, right? When our focus should be building up and bringing and giving value to people, to the people we need to help with our skill set, right? It's not about us. We got to take the me out of it and give, right? Too many people are receivers, right? We receive. But the more you give, the more you're going to get back, right? It's the universal laws, the karmic universal laws, right? The laws of karma, the laws of the universe. The more you put out, the more you're going to give in, right? So give in. Every good deed is a seed. So if I'm giving information, if I'm giving my services, right? And advancing, enhancing whoever my services is applying, then I know I'm doing the right job. I'm getting it done right. Next thing I want to talk about is understanding business and learning how to hunt. You see, back in the primitive times, we were hunters, right? We had to hunt for our food, right? It wasn't coming to us. If we didn't hunt, we didn't eat. We didn't eat, right? It's no different. We fast forward from the primitive days all the way over to 2024, right? Now it's a different hunting. If you're in the business world like I'm in, right? I'm in videography and photography world, right? So a lot of my hunting deals with creating videos that evoke emotion, photography, right? Posting videos that I know will invoke an emotional appeal to whoever's looking at it. So I use storytelling elements. I collaborate with different businesses all across KC to not only boost my brand identity and brand presence, but also boost whoever I'm working with, whoever I'm collaborating with, to also boost the brand presence and the brand identity to everybody I'm collaborating with. It's a teamwork effort. So when I post these videos, right, I'm hunting, right? I never tell people I'm hunting. So in this field of business, you have to hunt for your clients. You gotta hunt. You gotta create engaging content. You gotta be consistent, right? Consistency will always win the battle, and skill will always outweigh talent when the talent is having a rest day. Talent is really something you're naturally gifted at. So when you got the talent, you actually get lazy, right? Because it's something you're naturally gifted at. So you're not really thinking on working on that talent and progressing that talent into a more manageable skill set because it comes natural to you, right? My advice will be to tell you to enhance that talent, right? To keep learning more and more about that talent, to develop that talent into a well-efficient skill set, and to keep learning, right? Because in the level of success, you always want to stay curious, right? We have to stay curious. We have to tap into that inner child and remain curious. And that's what has blocked some of our chakras, right? Because now, and when I say chakras, I'm more talking about the sacral chakra, which is down at the lower part near the sex hormones chakra, right? That chakra is orange and it expresses the level of creativity. So when the sacral chakra is blocked, your level of creativity is blocked too. So you're not really thinking in a creative mind state. And really, creativity and the imagination is really what's going to sell in today's world. Because you got to think outside the status quo. Everybody right now is doing the same thing. But if you can figure out something different to do, right? And you can figure out how to be more creative, right? And step outside the status quo and step inside your own white space. And white space is just what it means. A white space. Nobody has discovered that yet. So you got that white space to plant your creativity flag right in that white space. And once you find that white space, that's yours. The only way to get to the white space is to become an innovator. And to think different, think outside the box. So, as a photographer and a videographer, right? Or if you're in any business, we have to essentially take the ego out of it, right? Let's be honest. So, we can't really shoot what we want, right? You can. Let me exit that. Another tip is execution, right? Execution. Say it again. Execution. The reason why people remain stuck is because they don't know how to execute. They don't know how to execute ideas for themselves. So if you're not able to execute the ideas for yourself, right? How can you ever execute ideas for other people? How? It's impossible. Knowing how to execute, it's an action, right? It's an action, you're moving forward. But if I were to talk about something, if I were to have this grandiose idea and not execute it, what am I doing? That thought isn't becoming reality, but instead in my mind. And it's going to be in my mind at all times until I execute that thought into reality. You can execute a thought in reality easily. Just take it out your mind. Our thoughts are magnetic energy. So the moment we take that thought out of our mind, and here's some tips. You can either write it down. Write it down. Take that thought out of your mind and write it down. And look at it. Look at it. Physically look at it. Because once you bring that thought out your mind, it's entered the three-dimensional world, right? It's three-dimensional. So it's no longer a thought. You bring it into reality. And each thought we have shapes our own destiny, right? Thoughts are energy signals that control our decision making and our emotional behavior. So, example, if I were upset, right, a good thing therapists talk about is to write our thoughts down on pieces of paper, write how we're feeling. The moment we write it down, the moment we release these thoughts, right? And they're out of us. So, if you have an idea, release it and write it down and look at it. Think of how you can make this thought process into reality. Think about how you can make this thought process better. How can I add dimensions to this idea that I want to execute? How? What people do I need to be around? Do I need to switch my position? Do I need to change my environment? Do I need to experience different things? Do I need to educate? Right? That I need to expose myself to new information. I just gave you the 5 E's, right? Education, exposure, experience, execution, and elevation, right? Everything is a system, right? We have to have a systematic system that we can go by, a blueprint that we can look at. a guide that could tell us the next step. Because if it's not written down into a system, you have nothing but thoughts. Let's all create systems for ourselves. If we don't know something, let's ask. We can't fear rejection all the time. Let's ask. So that's all we can do is ask. I'd rather ask than not ask at all, right? Because when you fail at, the moment a person fails is the moment a person fails is when a person stops learning, right? And stops asking questions and stops remaining curious. So like I said in the beginning of the video, you want to focus more on the creative side, right? Creativity brings value. And value brings capital. If you could bring value into a person's life, if you could offer them something of value, do you know how much of a W that is? It's a win. Value. I'm giving you value, right? And sometimes doing value is just offering free market, right? I'll give you an example. If I were to do a newsletter for a promoter, right? I do 3 newsletters for that promoter and I just send it to him. Or I send it to her. Or I do a newsletter for a photographer or anybody, right? And I send it to him like that. Without them even saying anything. I already established the value. So a lot of times free marketing is going to get you in the door because now you already create